Welcome to Peninsula Seniors Out and About. We're at Zamperini Field in Torrance for a very special event. I'm here with Luke Zamperini. This is awesome to meet you. Your dad was, he's a celebrity.
Well, yes, even in his death, he's a celebrity. He's more famous now than he was in the 1930s and 40s.
I mean, the field here, Torrance Airport, is named after your dad.
Yes, we're very proud to fly into Zamperini Field on a B-24, and it's just an absolute joy to be flying in this airplane. A similar airplane my father flew in. This was a B-24J. He flew in a B-24D, but it was exhilarating because you could feel the air coming through the ship. You know, they have open windows and it's not airtight at all. And so I really got a good feel for what it was like to be a young man, 70 years ago, flying in the Pacific Ocean Theater. And it was exciting. He's described to me the air battles that he was in so many times that I was just having fun reliving it as I was moving through the plane.
Oh, wow. And he was a bombardier.
Yes, he was. He was a bombardier. And I crawled into this little greenhouse down there and stuck my eye on the lens and looked down there and thought, what a miserably cramped place this is. But, these guys are my father's generation. They were really heroic men to be able to climb into things like this and fly out over the Pacific Ocean and fight our nation's wars.
Absolutely, absolutely. And his legacy is going to be carried on by your grandson. Can you talk about that?
Well, yes, my father established Victory Boys Camp in the 1950s as his way of giving back by helping wayward youth find direction in their life through an outdoor experience. And so as he passed on, the family decided we wanted to keep it going. And so my son, Clay, has left his job and he's going full-time as the CEO of Victory Boys Camp. As a matter of fact, we're rebranding it to be the Louis Zamperini Foundation, home of Victory Boys Camp. And so Clay is busy raising money and making connections and networking with the school districts and the sheriffs and police departments to find kids that could really benefit from this kind of program.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, it's just a pleasure to be in Torrance, the home of my dad, Louis Zamperini, and to be here at Zamperini Field. And what a pleasure and an honor.
The movie, can you make comments about that?
Well, the movie I loved. The movie was fantastic, and the opening scene within the B-24 with the battle over Nauru was just riveting, and the way the film was shot and the soundtrack, it was like spellbinding. It was beautiful while it was brutal at the same time. So it was really quite a sensation.
Well, thank you for letting us interview you, and again, it's an honor to meet you and your dad. Oh, what an awesome guy.
Well, thank you.
And you're carrying it on.
Yes, and the honor's all mine. Thank you. This is the Norden bomb sight. This was the most important piece of equipment on a B-24. The mission of a bomber like this was to get the bombardier and the payload of bombs in the Norden bomb sight to the target. And so they turned control of the airplane over to the bombardier so that the pilot would not feel like he had to evade the flak that would be coming. So this device here would line the bombs up, it would fly the airplane, and then as soon as the bombs were gone, the pilot would then gain control of the aircraft again and pull out. I got in here a couple times on this flight from Santa Barbara, and it was really something to crawl. You have to crawl under the flight deck to get to the bomb site, and then get on your knees and lean over this thing and be looking down at your target. Now, of course, this bomb site is no longer operative. You can see there's pieces of it hanging off. It's had a few too many kids playing with it, I think, over the years.
I'm here with Georgine Griswold from the Torrance Rose Float Parade. Can you tell us a little about it?
The Torrance Rose Float Association is an all-volunteer group that ever since 1971 has been putting the City of Torrance float in the parade.
Can we get a little bit closer up look of some of these things? What I'm interested in is a Zamperini float that's historical. Can you talk a little bit about that, how that came to be?
Oh, sure can. When the tournament announced in January of last year, the year of 2015, let me go back, 2014, they announced that the theme of the 2015 parade would be inspiring stories. And that was in January, and we all went, Louis Zamperini. And from that point, I called the family, and they got his permission. He said he would love to have the float designed of his life. And we just started going forward at that point, raising the money, getting the design. And it was a great year. It was a very great year. It was a lot of fun and a lot of interest because of Louis himself. It was just awesome, just awesome. And then we got the theme prize. That was frosting on the cake.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yes, yes.
Well, can you show us a closer-up look of the float? You have a piece of it over there. Can you show us that up close and then talk about it?
Absolutely. We have the pictures back here all from the float, but I can show you in the official picture, the trophy picture we call it, where these pictures were on the float. This is the official picture that is taken by the Tournament of Roses of the float in the parade. This is an example of something that is on the float that is decorated, and as I mentioned, everything on the float must be covered in some kind of an organic matter. The mustard seed that is on this part of the award, of course, looks like the gold, and the blue is dry status flower, which is chopped into little pieces. And again, however, and the actual award itself is more of a textured look. The beans are backed by coconut, ground up coconut. From a distance, it absolutely doesn't look like it's decorated in anything organic, but it is. Everything on the float has to be organic, and nothing can be showing, even the glue behind everything that is put on the float. If the judges come by and see anything shiny, that means they're seeing glue, and they will mark points off for judging. So this was a pretty awesome float to work with, very symbolic of Louis' life, first in Torrance, and then his Olympic time with the torch, a replica of the 1936 torch when he ran in the Olympics, his track shoes, the medals from his military service. The man on the front of the float is actually the observer. Every float has to have a driver and an observer. The driver for our float was hidden down under here. He could not see out. He could only see the pink line in the middle of the boulevard. And so the observer is the one that is communicating to him how to, don't get away from the pink line. And he's wearing a uniform that was made by Universal Studios for the movie Unbroken. It's an exact replica of Louis' captain's uniform when he was in the military service. Riding on the float was Jim Barnett. He flew out from Olean, New York, where Louis was born. Louis came to Torrance to live with the family when Louis was 2 years old. And Jim is the grandson of Louis' godmother. Seated next to him is Will Graham, who is Billy Graham's grandson. This is Jim Standifer, Louis' lifetime best friend. And next to him is the young man that represented him at Louis' memorial. He did the sprint at the memorial. His track shoes that he's wearing were signed by Louis when he was a freshman in high school. On the other side of the float were representatives of the city of Torrance, people that had something new Louis or had some influence in his, or he had some influence in their life. The torch itself is exactly designed like the torch from the 1936 Olympics, which was the Olympics that Louis ran in. And he did not win his heat because when on the ship going over, for one thing, he had never had all the wonderful foods. He came from a not affluent Italian family here in Torrance, and so he had all this wonderful food on the ship over, and gained a bunch of weight. So he wasn't in the best shape. So he came in second in his run, but it was an experience that when you read his books or see the movie Unbroken, you will understand. And in the movie Unbroken, when you see the relay runner come into the stadium where all the Olympians are gathered, and somebody comes in running with the torch and lights the cauldron at the 1936 Olympics, the young man running in the movie was Louis's grandson, Clay. So Louis was named Grand Marshal of the parade, and even though he died in July and wasn't physically at the parade, he was the Grand Marshal of the parade. His family, his son Luke, daughter Cynthia, and grandson Clay rode in the Grand Marshal's car, which was directly in front of the float in the parade. On the back of the float, you'll see 6 pictures. Luke Zamperini, when he was named Grand Marshal for the parade, the picture was taken and then replicated in seeds and flowers, and he's wearing his ever-present SC cap, because of course he graduated from USC. This is a picture with the plane flying out of it, the B-24, which was the plane that Louis flew in and crashed in. This is a picture of Louis and Billy Graham, and of course everybody knows that the moment that he heard Billy Graham speak of forgiveness, his entire life changed, and he lived a joyous man the rest of his life. He was a very happy man. This is a picture of Louis when he was running at Torrance High. You can see the word Torrance on his shirt. When he beat the track record, and the record stood for 19 years before somebody bested him. It was his very favorite picture. This is the Zamperini Field monument that is out in front of Zamperini Field, Torrance's airport. And interesting story about that is that when Louis was lost, missing in action, actually the U.S. government sent the family notification that he was dead. The city officials decided to name Zamperini Memorial Field. So they named the airport Zamperini Memorial Field. Then when they found out he wasn't dead, they took off the word memorial. So it is now Zamperini Field. Behind the flowers here is a picture of Louis in his captain's uniform when he was in the U.S. Army Air Corps. Not the U.S. Army Air Force, because the Air Force has not been founded yet. It was still the Army Air Corps. The medals on the float were all awarded to Louis for his service in World War II. So there's the Bombardier emblem, his Purple Heart, his other awards, and of course, as I pointed out, the medal up here. So these are all done in any organic thing that makes it look exactly like it is, as you can see on the one I pointed out earlier. Louis was never seen in his later years without wearing his red SC cap. So all the riders on the float wore SC caps, and we had them embroidered with City of Torrance honoring Luke Zamperini, and the float parade date 1/1/2015. So these are all done in any organic thing that makes it look exactly like it is. As you can see on the one I pointed out earlier, that the little mustard seeds from a distance look like gold or bronze or whatever color you want. We're 12,000 roses, yellow roses on the bottom of the float, flown in from Ecuador, so the flowers and the vegetation comes from all over the world depending on the look that is wanted for that particular spot on the float. We were so proud to be able to honor Louis. A lot of us knew Louis, a lot of us knew of Louis, and when we chose him as the theme of our float, we needed a name for the float itself, and so after he had passed away, we named it Luke Zamperini, A Race Well Run, and that certainly describes Louis.